A 44-year-old woman is behind bars for fatally stabbing her 72-year-old mother. At 11:24 p.m. on Wednesday the 30th of October, authorities responded to a house at 606 14th Avenue in Middletown, Ohio and reports of a stabbing. When officers arrived, they entered the premises and found 72-year-old Minnie Lewis unresponsive with multiple stab wounds to her head, face and neck. Medics transported her to Atrium Medical Center where she was pronounced dead. The stabbing suspect, 44-year-old Mekeshia Lattimore, was still on scene and was taken into custody. The victim's son told detectives that he observed his sister over the top of their mother moving her hand and arm in a stabbing motion while Minnie sat in a recliner. The son said he yelled for Mekeshia to get away from their mother and observed blood coming from the victim's neck, and immediately called 911 telling dispatchers my mother just got stabbed. During the call, Minnie is heard in the background saying "I am dying." The son tells his mother to stay strong, "I'm here," while trying to apply pressure to her wounds. The son tells dispatchers he has a firearm and his sister's in another room looking at the wall before police and medics arrive. Neighbours said that Mekeshia has some mental issues, but were in disbelief that she would stab her own mother. Neighbours described Minnie as a sweet, God-fearing mother. Authorities said that Mekeshia refused to talk with detectives. Mekeshia is charged with murder and remains head of the Middletown City Jail on a $1 million bond. The motive of the killing is unclear, as the investigation into the matter continues. 45-year-old Matthew Schleier is behind bars for fatally strangling his 5-year-old son Jack Schleier. At 5:57 a.m. on Tuesday the 29th of October, authorities responded to a home at 4105 Willowbrook Drive in Marion, Ohio and reports of a boy not breathing after receiving a 911 call from the victim's mother. When first responders arrived, the mother told them that his father strangled him. An officer asked Matthew on scene if that was true, and he confirmed that he strangled Jack and he was taken into custody. Paramedics performed life-saving measures on the boy, and he was taken to a local hospital where he was pronounced dead. Medical personnel noticed bruising to the child's neck that appeared to be consistent with strangulation. During a post-Miranda interview with investigators, Matthew once again admitted to strangling his son. He said that he'd been up most of the night trying to decide on how he was going to kill his son, and that he had thoughts of killing the boy for a week. He also confessed that he had thoughts about using knives to kill his son. Authorities said that at the time of the incident, 2 other adults and an additional child were present in the home, though none of them were physically harmed. Matthew was booked into the Linn County Jail on a charge of first-degree murder, where he remains held on a $1 million bond. The motive of the killing is unclear, as the investigation into the matter continues. On Thursday the 31st of October 2024, 24-year-old Joshua Dotson appeared at the Shelby County Criminal Court in Tennessee and was sentenced to 102 years in prison for the murder of his pregnant girlfriend and her unborn child. Joshua was found guilty in August of killing 19-year-old Jamesha Covson and her unborn child in the early morning hours of the 12th of June 2020. Joshua fatally shot Jamesha and her unborn child after they got into an argument about a Facebook post and a pregnancy at a residence in the 1200 block of Quinn Avenue in Memphis, Tennessee. At one point, Jamesha went into a room and closed the door on Joshua, who responded by firing a bullet through the door. While the initial bullet did not strike Jamesha, Joshua forced his way into the room to continue arguing before leaving. Police said he returned a bit later and fired multiple shots into Jamesha's closed door, ultimately killing her and the unborn child. Jamesha was 6 months pregnant at the time. 2 hours after killing her, Joshua then posted a memorial to Jamesha on his Facebook page, telling her to fly high. During his trial, Joshua referred to himself as a serial killer, stating that he likes killing women and claimed responsibility for 3 additional murders in 2019 and 2020. He called Jamesha a sex worker in court and said she knew about his previous murders and claimed he killed her for snitching on him. Joshua likened himself to Michael Myers, the fictional character in the Halloween horror movie series. 45-year-old Dustin Caudill is accused of killing 2 men, stealing their wallets and setting fire to their home just 4 months after serving decades in prison for murdering his mother and brother. At just before 5 a.m. on Wednesday the 30th of October, firefighters and police responded to a residential structure fire at 508 Hernan Lane in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. When fire crews made entry, they found 2 men dead inside the premises with gunshot wounds. The victims were identified as 41-year-old Blake France and 43-year-old Anthony Garrett. After determining the fire was intentionally set, witnesses told police they saw a gold pickup truck leaving the scene. Just over an hour later, police located the truck at a local motel on East Dixie Avenue. Surveillance video showed Dustin getting rid of a handgun and getting out of his truck. Police said that they found personal belongings of the two victims in Dustin's motel room, and that Dustin confessed to fatally shooting Blake and Anthony and setting fire to their home. He also admitted to stealing the victims' wallets and throwing them into a gas station trash can. Dustin was arrested and booked into the Hardin County Jail on 2 counts of murder, arson, tampering with physical evidence, possession of a handgun by a convicted felon, robbery and wanton endangerment. Dustin remains held at the Hardin County Detention Center on a $1 million bond. Dustin has a criminal history and has served decades in prison for killing 2 family members and was recently released from prison earlier this year. On the evening of the 11th of April 1994, when Dustin was 15, he was arrested in Meade County, Kentucky for killing his 33-year-old mother Karen Caudill and his 10-year-old brother Nicholas Caudill. Dustin told officers that around 7 p.m. that night, he and Nicholas had been playing cards in his parents' bedroom and they got into a small argument. He told police he couldn't say what the argument was about, but stated his brother had retrieved a shotgun which he kept under the bed of his parents' room, and that his younger brother tried to strike him with it. He said he took the shotgun away from his brother, and his brother went into the bathroom to take a bath. Dustin said he then loaded the gun and shot through the bathroom door. Nicholas yelled that he had been shot. Dustin said he made Nicholas walk out of the bathroom and into the bedroom, and then shot him in the head. After this, Dustin details calling a friend telling her what he did. The friend who he knew from Meade County High School was distraught and handed the phone to another friend. Dustin then told the other friend about his intention to also shoot his mother when she got home. After about 30 minutes, his mother was back at the house. Dustin hung up on his friends, and as she was coming in the back door, he shot her in the face without saying a word. At 7:42 p.m. he called 911, telling dispatch that he shot his brother and mother and that his mother was still breathing. When Meade County Sheriff deputies arrived 7 minutes later, Dustin came out of the house with his hands in the air. His mother died that night. Dustin told police he shot his mother because she smoked marijuana and would sometimes beat him after smoking. Police spoke to Dustin's father, who was not home at the time of the shooting. He said there had not been any trouble with his son, and had always gotten along very well with his little brother, other than the usual sibling arguments. He said his son also got along well with his mother, and felt that their family life was normal. He also said his wife did smoke marijuana in their bedroom, but did not know of his wife becoming overly abusive to the boys. He said that he'd never seen her correct them in anything but a normal manner. Police said that during the interview, Dustin showed no emotional remorse and seemed very calm and cold about the matter. Police interviewed Dustin's girlfriend at the time. She said she had spoken on the phone with him several times that evening, with the last phone call being about an hour before the shooting happened. She said everything seemed fine and there was no indication something was wrong. Police also interviewed Dustin's 2 classmates, who he called right after shooting his brother. They said they never knew him to be in any trouble, and this took them totally by surprise. A woman is behind bars after she gave her 10-year-old daughter pills to take in a suicide pact she made with her daughter. On the 15th of October, authorities in Huntsville, Alabama arrested 37-year-old Brittney Leigh Hensley on a felony child abuse warrant issued in Ocean Springs, Mississippi, after the crime occurred in July. Authorities said that Brittney fled the area a short time after police responded to a report of a medical emergency on the 6th of July at an extended stay motel Studio 6, where the child and mother had been living. The 10-year-old girl, whose name has not been released, was unresponsive when police arrived. Ocean Springs Police Chief Ryan Lattimore said that Brittney made a suicide pact with her daughter, and the daughter took the pills but she didn't, and Brittney started freaking out when her daughter wouldn't wake up. Paramedics took the child to a local hospital for treatment. Once the child regained consciousness, she told police about the suicide pact her mother had made with her. However, the mother didn't attempt to take her own life. Brittney fled the area before she was set to meet with police investigators and officials with Child Protective Services regarding the criminal allegations. Mississippi Coast Crime Stoppers issued an alert to be on the lookout for Brittney after she fled the state. Police suspected that she may have headed to Alabama because of Brittney's relatives there. On Tuesday, the 29th of October, Brittney was booked into the Jackson County Jail in Mississippi following her extradition from Alabama. She remains held on a $500,000 bond. A 35-year-old man is behind bars after fatally shooting a Walmart employee. At just after 6 p.m. on Saturday the 2nd of November, several workers tried to stop a man from shoplifting at Walmart store located at 5135 Carolina Beach Road in Wilmington, North Carolina. A fight occurred and the suspect pulled out a firearm and fired one shot hitting an employee. The victim died at the scene. The victim was identified as Mark Thomas Paz. The suspect, identified as 35-year-old Dean Michael Newman, fled Walmart and was confronted in the parking lot by a sheriff's deputy and then taken into custody. It's unclear what Dean was attempting to steal. Dean's charged with first-degree murder and possession of a firearm by a felon. He remains at the New Hanover County Jail without bond. According to the North Carolina Department of Adult Corrections records, Dean has convictions dating back to 2008. In 2010, Dean was charged for assaulting a police officer. His other convictions include breaking and entering, larceny and escaping from prison. Dean is also listed as a habitual felon, meaning he's been convicted of 3 or more felonies. A woman is behind bars for assaulting a man at a hotel. At around 3:45 p.m. on Sunday the 3rd of November, authorities responded to an assault and battery incident at a hotel in the 6700 block of Raspberry Lane in Shreveport, Louisiana. Upon arrival, officers described the scene as being marked by a strong smell of alcohol and blood on the floor. The male victim was found with severe bleeding from his head. Investigators determined that the victim and Tiana travelled together from Dallas, Texas, after meeting on Facebook a few days prior. After arguing about finances, the situation turned violent and Tiana allegedly hit the victim multiple times over the head with a bottle of tequila. The victim sustained significant lacerations to the right side of his face and was taken to a nearby hospital for treatment. Tiana was arrested and booked into the Caddo Parish Jail on a second-degree battery charge. A Maryland woman has been convicted in the death of a mother who was dismembered and cooked on a charcoal grill. On Friday the 1st of November 2024, 46-year-old Candace Craig was found guilty of murder, tampering with evidence and disposing of a body in an unauthorized location in the death of her mother, 71-year-old Margaret Craig, last year. Candace's daughter, 19-year-old Salia Hardy, pleaded guilty early this year to being an accessory to the murder after the fact. Police said that on the 23rd of May 2023, Candace killed her mother and had Salia try to dispose of the body. Authorities said that Candace attacked Margaret after she threatened to report her for fraudulent use of a credit card. Investigators said the mother and daughter dismembered the victim with a chainsaw and attempted to burn her remains on the grill and fire behind the home and use seasoning to mask the smell. Police discovered the murder 10 days later at around 1:35 p.m. on the 2nd of June, when officers were called to perform a welfare check at the home at 208 Hill Road in Hyattsville, Maryland, after receiving a 911 call from a person who said he had not communicated with Margaret for several days and was worried about her. When officers arrived, they made contact with Candace at the scene and she allowed them to search the residence. Law enforcement officials went into the basement and immediately smelled the odour of decomposition and spotted blood near several white plastic garbage bags containing brain matter and dismembered body parts. They also found a chainsaw with human remains on it, as well as blood spatter and cleaning supplies. Salia testified in court that she recalled hearing Margaret scream inside their home. She said she asked her mother why her grandmother was screaming when she told her that something had fallen in the basement. She said Candace instructed her not to go inside her grandmother's room. Salia said that Candace also told her that if she went to jail, look out for her sisters. Salia recalled the day after hearing her mother scream, her mother showed her scratches on her chest and arms. Salia said that later that day, she went into her grandmother's room since she had not seen her since hearing her scream and saw her body in a blue storage bin with a trash bag over her head and blood on the carpet. Salia said that when her mother came home, she was mad at her for going into the room but would not tell her what happened to her grandmother. Salia said they went to a store a few days later to purchase items including gasoline, charcoal and a lighter. She said it was her mother's idea to burn the body in the back of the house. The plan did not work, and neighbours began noticing the fire spread and the fire department were called, and did not locate the fire as it was put out before their arrival. It was then Salia said her mother ordered a chainsaw from Amazon, brought the body inside and began cutting the body into pieces the next day. Maryland Assistant Medical Examiner Dr. Pamela Ferreira said that Margaret's autopsy was a unique case. She said her body was not intact by the time it arrived at the medical examiner's office in early June last year. She said that there were 9 bags, each of which contained other bags. Her office also received a chainsaw, paper towels and paint cans with water and body fragments. In total, she said that there were 67 segments of remains, all which showed evidence of being burnt and dismembered by a mechanical saw after Margaret was dead. She said there was no evidence that a natural disease killed the victim. At the same time, she said that she did not have every piece of the body. She said that Margaret's death was ultimately ruled a homicide by undetermined means. 41-year-old Daren Christopher Abbey is behind bars for killing 35-year-old Dustin Kjersem. On Saturday the 12th of October, Dustin's body was found at his campsite off Moose Creek Road in Gallatin County, Montana by his girlfriend and another friend. Authorities said that Dustin travelled to Gallatin County on the 10th of October to set up camp, planning to return to town the following day to pick up his girlfriend after work so they could spend the weekend camping. When he did not arrive on the 11th of October, the girlfriend became worried and she and her friend drove to the campsite the following morning where they found Dustin dead at around 10 AM. His death was initially thought to be a result of a bear attack. Investigators began a homicide investigation after Fish, Wildlife and Park specialists ruled out bear activity. Authorities said that the autopsy determined that Dustin sustained multiple chop wounds which led to his death. He suffered significant damage to the skull and flesh areas of the body. Investigators said that a DNA sample taken from a beer can at the campsite returned a match with 41-year-old Daren Abbey. On the 26th of October, Daren was located in Butte and was taken into custody on a probation violation. During questioning with investigators, Daren confessed to killing Dustin on the 10th of October. Daren said he had planned to camp at the site, but found Dustin already there. He said that Dustin welcomed him and even offered him a beer. Daren claimed that at some point Dustin attacked him, so he hit Dustin on the head with a piece of firewood, stabbed him in the neck with a screwdriver, and hit him in the face with the blunt side of an axe. He confessed to taking multiple items that had his fingerprints on them, including 2 coolers, a magnum pistol and a holster, a shotgun, and a shotgun ammunition sleeve. He also admitted to washing the axe and screwdriver in the creek. Daren said he returned to the campsite the next day because he forgot his hat. Authorities said that Daren also said he stole binoculars and a headlamp from Dustin's truck, as well as disposing of 2 phones he took from Dustin's tent. The phones were found on the 17th of October. Daren also admitted to washing the clothes he was wearing at the time and burning the shoes he was wearing in a wood stove. Authorities said there was no known connection between Daren and Dustin, suggesting the incident stemmed from a chance encounter. Daren was formally charged with 1 count of deliberate homicide and 2 counts of tampering with or fabricating evidence. He was held at the Butte Detention Center until he was transferred to Gallatin County. His bail was set at $1.5 million. His next hearing is scheduled for the 15th of October.